Supervisor Chris Barnett shares his vision for Orion's future, shares his first 60 days in office, speaks with State House Representative Brad Jacobsen, and also takes an opportunity to interview Dan Dewey, who brings fresh, brewed meaning to generosity. Stick around for Orion Now. Welcome, Supervisor Barnett. We're so glad to have you here in the studio today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of time each month to kind of tell people what's been going on in their community and our community, and what a great venue we have here to do this. And so I'm thrilled. It's our first time, so lots of updates to share, and I don't know where you want to start, but this is going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully people enjoy getting an opportunity to kind of see behind the scenes a little bit and understand what we're working on. So,
well, let's start with the first 60 days. We know that that's been a fast pace for you, and we know that you've been on the job and working hard. So let's hear about these first 60 days.
Yeah, it's funny because it seems like it's been about a year,
yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. I think if I had to pick one emotion, it would be joy. I've really enjoyed the time to get to know the staff, to get to know the citizens that are coming in the doors, and then out and about everywhere we go, someone has a question for me. Some are easier than others, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work. I think I underestimated my transition time. I had this list of like 50 great things I couldn't wait to start working on, that I'd heard all this great feedback throughout the summer as I was knocking on doors, and I've worked on exactly 0 of those items. I've just been spending so much time getting to know the job, getting to understand some of the issues and the struggles, and there were some. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to my list, but as of right now, I can't tell you when that will be. So,
well, you've been working on the collaboration effort, so let's hear a little bit about that. What's in place there?
Right. I am a big fan of saving money. Not only in my own house, but now that this is my job, I want to save money for all of Orion residents. And it just makes sense that if we have, I'm also a very outgoing person, if you don't know that already about me.
I do.
And so it just makes sense when we have neighbors. I want to get to meet our neighbors. So in this case, our neighbors are Independence Township and Auburn Hills and Rochester Hills and Oakland Township. So I've spent a little bit of time getting to know our neighbors and finding out what our needs are and what their needs are and where they might cross. And coincidentally, or not coincidentally, we have a lot of similar needs. And so I am a big fan of not reinventing the wheel. If someone's done a lot of the work, I want to copy that. So just for a couple examples that I can share, something as mundane as our copy machines in the township. Our lease is up on the copy machines, and it's not that exciting, but at the same time, Independence Township to our west, their copy leases are up, and so they've gone through a very detailed process of evaluating their own needs, and so we see some real benefit pooling our groups together and having a larger group, and so we're able to both save money. So that's just one kind of mundane area that we're working together. Also, HR, human resources. We're in the process of engaging with an HR firm or individual, and Independence, again, is also in the same stage, and so it looks like we'll be able to save about 30% by just collaborating and working with our neighbors. So I am going to be doing that as often as possible because it just makes sense. There's no sense, I mean, we're a decent-sized township, but if we can do something with our neighbors, north, south, east, or west, and I'm going to take advantage of that. So. And
Independence Township is like Orion in so many ways.
They are almost identical. I mean, we're both 6 by 6, 36 square miles. We have a village, they have a village. We have nearly within 1,000 same population, so we're very identical. So.
And what is the role of human resources?
Yeah, it's a great question. Human resources it's very needed in today's world with all the changes that happen. So human resources will be a lot of hands-on with our own staff, with our own employees, and we have anywhere from 45 to 50 full-time employees that we need to manage their benefit plans. If they elect to be a part of the 401k plan, just the day-to-day running of the business of the people that work for the township. So there are a lot of questions that currently come to our office, and I kind of do this, who can help? And then also we have employee policies, and we also have employee safety manuals, and all these things. And if you pay attention to what's going on in the world, the laws are constantly changing, and it really is important for us to be up to speed and know what's going on, and to really take care of our employees the right way. So
reaching the standards.
Reaching the standards, exactly. And I want to be more proactive than reactive. So.
Excellent. I think that's wise as a supervisor. Now, I know that you talked about the staff and just your enthusiasm for meeting everyone. I'm getting feedback on a daily basis regarding how effective you are with the staff and working with everyone in the community. Where does that come from in you? How did you originate as someone who wanted to be a leader in the community?
Right. You know, I've been asked this question so many times. Why did you decide to be supervisor? And, you know, I love this community. I really do. And I just found myself getting more and more involved in different volunteer opportunities. And the more I got involved, the more I loved the community. And so I don't know if it was just a natural progression, but I found myself last April or May really debating, should I do this? Should I try to kind of put my other career on hold and go after this? And I really took it serious. And a big part of that decision is just, I consider myself a servant leader. I don't ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. And I think that's really important. And I think that's what's helped me kind of be successful as I've started, is to show the staff, some who have been there many years, that, yeah, I am the new guy in town. I might be a little bit younger. I might be a little rough around the edges, but I am willing to, I'm gonna lead our township, but I'm not gonna ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do. And it's been very effective for me when I started leading when I was even much younger. So far I think the feedback has been about 95% positive. I do expect people to do their jobs, and when they don't, they hear from me. So, you know, there's maybe 5% that aren't thrilled with me, but that's okay. I think it's important, you know, you still need to have expectations for your employees. So
absolutely.
We have a lot of fun, but we get the job done. So
now you're running an excellent board meeting. People are seeing that out in the community. Thank you.
I am still learning. If you've paid attention to any of the meetings so far, I'm missing the roll call versus the other type of vote, which I can't even think of the name of it now. So I've gotten a crash course on Robert's Rules of Order, and
you're doing great.
I think generally people, again, it's kind of my personality. If I mess up, I'll be the first one to laugh at myself and take a little reset. So yeah, it's fun. I think that it's really important to get feedback from the people that are in our community.
And you're providing an opportunity in March where you're collaborating with the schools and some other agencies. Tell us a little bit about that community forum that's coming up in March.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It's going to be March 27th at the Orion Center, 8 a.m. Not sure on all the details. This is the first time I've really officially announced it, but one, it's going to be an opportunity to host a really cool event in our building. But two, I hope to by then be able to unveil a few of these things on my list that I talk about, that initiatives that we're working on, that I've just started to work on, that I'm really passionate about. And I really want to promote what we have here as a community, to do business and also to live here. So I hope to have a couple big announcements that day. We will have a couple big announcements that day that you'll have to come and check out if you're interested in. But I'm going to, in the next couple months, you'll hear a lot more about it. I'm going to put a big push to our business community and then our schools. Like I said, Marion Janopoulos, our superintendent, and I have already started brainstorming on what this is going to look like. So think a little bit of a state of the township slash maybe a little more exciting than that. I'm not a big fan of those, so we'll put a spin on it.
So there's room for everybody, right?
Well, there's room for I think about 200. So
that's perfect.
I'm hoping, I think we'll fill it because I think we have a lot of good news to share.
And ONTV will broadcast it live?
We're in talks. I haven't even told them yet. So hopefully, since we're sitting in their studio, maybe that'll be that month's episode.
So save the date.
Save the date, March 27th, 8 a.m. at the Orion Center.
Beautiful.
And we'd love to have you come in. So
I can't think of a better location to hold this gathering.
Right. Exactly. And still, a lot of people in our community haven't really seen what a gem the building is. So it is, you know, a little selfish that we're choosing our own venue, but of course, why would we go anyplace else when we have something so great here?
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about community volunteerism. I know that you've gotten an excellent response from the community for committee appointments. Can you share what occurred with that? Absolutely.
Being the new guy and not really in the political scene so much, I really made it a point to reach out to the new people. And when I say new people, no disrespect to the people that have been serving on these communities for so long, because we have some real gems, and some of them are continuing to serve. But I really wanted to get a fresh perspective. One of the things since I've been in office, and I think you know, is I'm kind of an anti, if I ask a question, why do we do things this way?
Yes.
My biggest pet peeve around the office is when I get the answer, well, we've always done it that way, because that doesn't tell me anything. So I kind of take that same approach to a lot of our committees that we have that do great work, and I think there's no better way than to get some fresh perspective and some new people involved. And plus, I want those people to be us in a few years, serving our community. I think that's the best way to kind of promote from within, is to get people involved, give them kind of an inside look, and hopefully they get a passion. Not everyone will, but some people will, that will maybe bring the next set of ideas forward.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, and about this past 20 minutes, I want to wrap up with your faith and your family.
Got it.
I know that you are the man who you say you are. People see that. It's very clear that you have a strong faith, and we know that that carries you through. Can you share a little bit about where that comes from?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking that question. Yeah, my faith is very important to me. I grew up in a strong Christian household. My dad was a public servant. He was a fireman. And he's the one that really taught me the value of hard work, and your word means something. So I've really carried that through. My wife and I attend Kensington Church. We have for almost 17 years, which is crazy because we almost have a 17-year-old daughter. And it's a huge part of my life. You know, I think that without it, I would not be the person that I am today, no question about it. I think that so often, you know, it gets caught up in people in these types of positions and make it a point to thank God and do all these things. But, you know, so I don't wear my faith on my sleeve as much in that regard. But those people that know me and that do do business with me know that I am a person of integrity. And that's what, to me, at the end of the day, is the most important thing, is just, you know, letting my actions speak louder than my words.
You're walking it out every day.
Well, I try. So, I mean, I still, you know, stumble often, as I'm sure you know. But, so yeah, and then you also asked me a little bit about my family. And I think a lot of people met my family this summer because they were out knocking on doors with me in the 100-degree heat. And I have 3 incredible, beautiful daughters. Rachel's a junior at the high school. Sydney is in 7th grade at Scripps, and Addison's in 6th grade at Scripps. And the jury's still out. I mean, they're having fun. You know, I ask them if they like my job and if it's okay. I think they think it's cool, they, you know, to some extent. But, you know, sometimes I think maybe it gets old when, you know, I'm getting gas at the gas station and people are coming up to me and asking about the landfill and things like that. So
it requires a big commitment to serve in that way.
It really does. It really does. But again, I am having a blast, and so far they are too. My wife, Julie, is my biggest cheerleader. And so far, so good. So we're 60 days in.
Yes.
Looking forward to the next 3 years and however many months, 10 months, and hopefully people will continue to give me the grace that they've given me so far as I've adjusted. It's really been awesome. I want to thank you for welcoming me, and I'm excited about some of the big changes we have planned.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. I'm looking forward to serving with you. You're doing an outstanding job. Just keep up the great work. And,
thank you.
And we'll hear from Bradford Jacobsen and you.
We will. We will. And also, hopefully next month you'll lead this discussion again, and we can talk about other great things going on in our community, because I think this is a good way just to get people, you know, in the loop. So thank you very much.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Supervisor.
Orion Township Community Programs invites area families to the 4th Annual Growing Green Expo on Wednesday, March 20th from 1 to 7 p.m. Vendors will be stationed throughout the Orion Center offering information on green products, career opportunities, energy efficiency, greening your home, organic gardens, and parks and trails. Parking and admission is free to the public. That's the Growing Green Expo at the Orion Center, Wednesday, March 20th from 1 to 7 p.m. For more information, call 248-391-0304 extension 305 or visit oriontownship.org.
Welcome back to our first edition of Orion Now. Penny has left, but I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Brad Jacobsen, our state representative in the 46th District. So thank you for joining me. Thanks for being my first official guest on this soon-to-be, probably syndicated show. Will probably be broadcast all over the country.
You never know. You'll be national before we know it. Watch out, Rush.
I know.
Or maybe watch out, Rachel Maddow. I don't know.
Well,
probably not.
I won't touch either one of those because
Okay.
I don't want people to turn it off. But you know, I didn't know I was going to become a TV guy, but I guess now I'm on the path. No, but anyway, I appreciate you coming. I highly respect you for what you do in representing our community. So I thought it'd be neat to start out by just asking you, because I'm the new guy here, how did you get started in public service? Where'd you start? Why did you get involved?
Sure. Well, many moons ago, but when I was a student, I grew up in Oxford and always was interested in history and government and such. And my grandfather, Shearer, my mom's father, he was not active in politics, but he was always interested. And I remember when I was a kid staying at their house and watching the '64 convention, Goldwater Convention, and watching that and just being fascinated by that. Fast forward through school, always interested in history and government. Went to Michigan State thinking about law school and or being a history teacher. After 4 years, had enough, went back to the family business, the flower shop. And shortly after I was married, I had some people approach me about running for school board in Oxford. And I expressed that I was not interested in that. And they said, why not? And I said, well, I'm thinking about the township board, because at the school board, somebody's always mad at you. The teachers, the administration, students, parents, somebody's always mad with the school board, I think. It's just at the township, maybe once in a while, somebody would be happy with what we do. So back in 84, I think it was, I ran for and was elected Oxford Township trustee. I served there for 16 years. Got out of it for a couple years and became Oakland County Commissioner for District 1, which is, the numbers have changed now. And when Jim Marlowe, our state rep, was term limited out, I decided to run for state rep and just finished my first 2-year term. Just got sworn in a couple of weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I always love my father-in-law's. Mark, I might have told you, I made a comment, I think, at the swearing-in ceremony. I want to thank you and Penny for having me there to swear in the Orion Township board members. But my father-in-law's line was great. You get sworn in to get sworn at. And that, if you haven't found that yet, I think you probably have.
I may have, you know, a little bit of experience being sworn at in the last, few weeks, but we'll see.
It's exciting, but I really never gotten. Part of the reason I got involved was I didn't have a beef, I didn't have a problem with what was going on in Oxford necessarily, but I felt I had something to offer and I wanted to make sure Oxford, and now really North Oakland County, because really growing up in Oxford and having a business in Lake Orion, Lake Orion's like my hometown too, that it's kept as much of its small town, hometown atmosphere, place where our kids want to stay, grow up, and really be a great community and keep that tight-knit feeling and not turn into some of the other suburban areas that we might think of around here that are perhaps a little bigger, colder, and more impersonal.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. I learned a couple things. I learned one, you're really old.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate
No, I'm kidding.
that.
No,
Not quite as old as I was.
No, I did. I think that's something we have in common, that our desire to get involved and to serve our communities sounds like it stemmed from the similar just care and concern for the future of our communities. So that's great. And I know I've mentioned this to you a few times, but now we're on TV. So, but one of the things I do respect about you, and I hope that I can mirror this, is even at times I haven't always agreed with you, which I haven't always agreed with you, but you've always been very approachable, very personable. I don't like politicians in general because I don't feel like they necessarily always have our best interests in mind. So I appreciate that, and I think one of my favorite lines you've said to me was, "I've called you my favorite politician," and I know you probably, without me telling you what you say,
Yep,
but
that's right. I always worry when somebody calls me a politician because I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant.
right,
Because like you had a good career. I had a fantastic career at our family business, but we have other things we could be doing. We're not doing this for the paycheck, certainly not for the paycheck. We're not doing it for aggrandizement of ourselves. It's really, I think both of us and many of the local officials, most local officials,
right,
really have their heart in the right place, and they're doing it because they want to do it for the benefit of the community.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool, and I appreciate that, and that's a good model hopefully I can follow, so thank you. And thank you for, you did, I got to choose who could swear us in, and so we were able to choose you, and thanks for making yourself available.
My pleasure. It was an honor to be there.
Yeah, so we'll see how much hair I have left in 4 years and where we're at 4 years from now.
I love seeing the pictures of President Obama 4 years ago at the swearing in, and now it is inauguration. A little older, a few more lines, a little grayer.
I'm not going to lie. I've noticed there's some, some patches that seem to be falling out, so making me a little bit nervous here.
Well,
but
I told you I'm not as old as I look. I've got 22 years of government service behind me, so I'm not quite as old as I look.
All right, so let's talk about something else. I want to. Tell me a little bit about your normal day, because I'm pretty involved, and I don't even totally understand everything you do. So give the people that are watching the show a little idea of what's a normal day consist of you. For you in Lansing?
Well, the legislature really meets in session 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Mondays and Fridays there are in-district days where I try to make village council meetings, hold meetings with constituents, whatever else. We're filming this on a Monday conveniently, because if it was a Tuesday, I'd be on probably at this time of the day, I'd still be in Lansing right now. But on session days, I leave home about 6:45 in the morning, drive to Lansing. Interesting, for state reps, it's about an hour and a half drive, roughly 100 miles to Lansing. And that seems to be the break-even dividing point. The reps who live further away get an apartment or share a house or something in Lansing. The ones who are closer drive back and forth, so I'm right at that break-even. But I drive back and forth to Lansing 3 to 4 days a week.
Okay.
So hour and a half drive there. Get in my first committee meeting. I sit on, we just got our committee assignments. Energy Technology meets Tuesdays at 9 a.m. I get into Lansing about usually about 8:15, 8:30, go into the office, look at the mail that the staff has lined up for me for the last couple of days, read up on any last-minute emails that may have come in about legislation that we're looking at, go to a committee meeting. They're usually an hour to an hour and a half long. Break out of that, depending on how the schedule's set up this way for new committees, may have another committee meeting, meet with constituents, return phone calls. Maybe we have some of the lobbyists come in and try to give us some information on why we should vote a particular way on a piece of legislation. And the lobbyist is a bad word. I like to refer to them with a grin as legislative consultants. Really, they get a lot of bad rap, and for the most part, they're very good individuals who are really a wealth of information. With term limits and us only being able to serve as a state rep, if the voters are kind to me and allow me to return, I'll be able to serve 6 years total as state rep. It's hard to get your feet wet in the first year, especially if you don't have a good staff, which I'm very blessed that I do. But if you don't have a good staff, most of your first year is getting your feet wet, figuring out what's going on. Second year, you're working on legislation. Third year, you're trying to help the freshmen who have come in, maybe learn the ropes a little bit. And so it's very difficult, but those lobbyists really do, many of them have been doing that for 25, 30 years. Right. Many are former legislators. So they really understand a lot about how the system works, and they're able to provide a lot of information. And the good ones, when you ask them, will always give you both sides of the issue. So I'll be around Lansing. We have session, usually starts at 1:30. Tuesday and Wednesday, it's noon on Thursday. We have session, which could go who knows how long, depending on what bills are in front of us. And usually somewhere around 5:30 to 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm turned around and heading back for home. Get home in time just to sit down, see my wife, have a bite to eat, and hit the sack and get ready up to do it another day.
All right, very cool. That's a
real thumbnail.
Sounds like you're action packed all morning till night. Now, all right, couple questions I want to ask you. So you just got sworn in for your second term. Congratulations on that, and you represent obviously Orion Township, Oxford.
It's right. It's Oxford, Addison, Brandon, Orion Township, and my new district includes part of Oakland Township.
Okay.
With redistricting, I lost Holly, Groveland, and Rose Township.
Okay.
So I have a little smaller geographic area. It's based on population, roughly about 90,000 residents.
Now tell me, all right, or tell us, what's one or two things that you're really excited about to work on yourself in this session, or have you formulated that yet?
We've got a couple things in the fire right now. We've been working with the Secretary of State's office on a number of different issues having to do with voter qualifications, absentee voters. I had one passed in the fall that the governor vetoed. He didn't like the checkbox whether you're a U.S. citizen or not. I didn't add that. The Senate added that. So part of the process, if you remember back to civics, it goes from one house from our house to the Senate, and then goes to the governor's office, assuming it's been passed. That's still in the works and getting worked on, but I think we've got most of that worked out. I was asked by the governor's office and the speaker to work on billboard regulations last year, which on the surface looked like a pretty simple issue.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Well, once you've studied billboards, you will never look at one you drive by the same way again. So we're working on that. It sounds like a simple issue, but the line I've used often is 2 sides to every story. In Lansing, there's 14 sides to every story, because people groups, organizations that you think really wouldn't have an interest in an issue will approach you and have comments on any number of different things. But we've got a whole handful of things we're working on right now.
Awesome. All right, so here's a good question from the new guy to this somewhat seasoned veteran. All right, so far everyone has liked every decision I've made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a joke.
That sounds like the old Rotary thing. One of the Rotary laws is it the truth? Is it fair to walk? Yeah.
So from a new guy to a seasoned veteran, how do you handle constituents that are upset with you, that don't like a decision you made? What's your rule of thumb?
Really, the key thing with any individual, if they disagree, whatever, they just want to be heard. They want to be heard out. Right. Nothing irritates people more than sending a letter off, sending something out, and not getting any kind of response to it. We really pride ourselves on sending back responses to 98 of the stuff we receive, letters, comments, complaints. And the ones we don't are the ones that we get that are mass emails, where it's the same email letter that we get from 85 people.
Right.
We don't respond to all of those. And some of them, we have a few individuals. You're lucky if everybody's liked everything you've done. We have a few individuals who contact our office 5 to 6 to 7 times a week with the same rant, sometimes with rude to obscene comments in them. We'll answer those once or twice, and after that, we don't answer them anymore. Right. It's just, there's no place for that. If they have constructive comments, we'll respond, but just harassment of the public official, those get deleted pretty quick. In between letters, phone calls, and emails, depending on the issue that's hot topic of the day. On a typical day, we probably get about 125 to 150 contacts. Oh. On a hot issue, we might get 600, 700, 800 in a day. Surprisingly, one of them that we got the most contacts on was something we really didn't have much to do with. The DNR was looking at relocating geese or expanding the goose hunting season, particularly in some of the state parks where they become overpopulated. Well, people in Orion, Oxford understand geese problems. We have those. I got emails from Saudi Arabia, from Frankfurt, Germany. It went viral on some website, And we had, I think it was close to 2,000, maybe a little over 2,000 emails about goose relocation and goose hunting.
How dare
Go
you.
figure. Yeah, I know.
Well, listen, that about wraps up our time, but I really appreciate kind of giving us a snapshot of what you do. Like I mentioned at the top, you are our state representative in Orion, and that's really all we care about is Orion. But you take care of some other areas as well. But I've gotten to know you as being someone very approachable, even when we don't agree, and I thank you for that. And so I'm glad you are our representative. Thanks for taking a few minutes.
Okay, you're not going to get rid of me that easy, though. I have 2 more things I'd like to say.
Okay.
First off, if anybody wants to contact us, we're really pretty easy to get a hold of, and we have set up an 800 number. So it's 1-855-REP, R-E-P, Brad. 855-REP-BRAD.
Okay.
It's a toll-free number to get to us up in Lansing.
855-REP-BRAD.
Yeah, pretty easy one. And the other thing I wanted to mention, we're talking about community service, is really what's going on here at ONTV is February 9th, they're having a food drive for fish.
Great.
And I'm not going to be here because that's my anniversary, but I did bring some canned goods with me to the studio today. So on February 9th, there's going to be a fundraiser here with people bringing in food, and they've got some door prizes and different things, and I think a live broadcast from 10 to 4 or something like that.
They do, and they want people to come in, and we've kind of thrown out a friendly challenge as Orion Township to our schools, to the community schools, as well as our village, to say we're going to bring way more food than you. So challenge.
So do I have to earmark my bag for the township now, or can I give it to the library or somebody else?
You know what? I think it's going to go into the township.
I have a hunch.
Leave it here. Leave it with me, and I'll take care of it. How's that
All
sound?
right. Very good.
Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming
pleasure.
on our first episode. Look forward to having you back sometime to keep us updated from time to time.
Anytime.
Representative Brad Jacobsen. So please stay tuned. We will be back shortly with our next guest, which is a really cool story of an Orion resident doing some really cool things for people that need help. Thank you very much.
Hey, this is Mickey York from Fox Sports Detroit. When I want to get the inside scoop on local sports, I watch Between Terminos or Fox Sports Detroit.
I met Dan Dewey. He would come in every Thursday at the same time, about 10:30, and he would order about 14 to 20 drinks. That's a lot of drinks. What are you doing? He says, well, I bring them over to Michigan Cancer Institute.
What would you like today? What sounds good, hot or cold? That's our choices. Hot. We've narrowed it down.
I'll go with a hot tea today, just a regular tea.
And you, sir?
Hot chocolate's fine for me.
Father went to the hospital. I says, do you want a coffee? When there's people sitting beside him, I says, he's buying. I got his wallet. So then anybody that was sitting there would get a free whatever they wanted. I bring it back to him. So it just started like that. I asked him, should I keep going? People enjoy this. And he goes, yeah, go ahead. Those 3 words that I'll remember forever.
Call him Dan the Man. Not only does he bring coffee, he's doing it out of his heart, because what he's doing is just trying to make a difference.
He's now an official caregiver. He's giving coffee. He's Lisa's a caregiver, I'm a caregiver. Dan is a volunteer caregiver.
He's a special person. He was put here for a reason.
Not so much as what he does, but just the way he tries to cheer everybody up when he's here.
All right. We're in business now.
When I came to meet the doctor and the staff, they says, you're gonna love coming on Thursdays. It's like, now why would a chemo patient be happy about coming on Thursday? I soon found out it was because of Dan.
Every week they say, but what do you get out of it? I says, I get a lot out of it. Because all these people really enjoy it. And they enjoy some goofball that wears shorts in the winter.
I did have a reaction on my second chemotherapy day, and Dan had gone out to get the coffee, and when he came back, he brought me a rose. And that was really, really, really special.
What touches me is the reaction in each person, to make them smile. People without hope come in here for hope. I'll do it with my last breath and my last dollar.
we're back. And if you're like me, well, you're not like me because I'm sitting next to Dan the Man, as we just saw in the video. And but what a great gem to meet Dan. This is the first time I met Dan. I've seen you for probably 13 years at least.
A lot more than
because
that,
I wonder who is the, well, at least for me, who is the guy that's running on the side of Silver Bell in shorts in sub-zero weather? And it happens to be Dan Dewey. Here he is. So thank you for joining us. And boy, you have an incredible story to tell. And I'm going to let you tell a little bit of it, but I want to ask you some questions too. So, so obviously we saw how you started your journey with your father, and he, what, did he give you a credit card, or what did he do?
No, when I got him home the second time, they cured him, and I said, they seem to like this. Should I keep doing it? And he said 3 words. He says, yeah, go ahead. And this was a smarter man than me, so I have been doing it for the last 6 years since I brought him home. At 6 full years at St. Joe's and a year and a half at Beaumont.
Wow, okay.
And the girl had called from Beaumont, emailed from Beaumont and said, would I bring her a coffee? And I said, sure. And of course my friends that are cynical go, well, now you have to go everywhere. And I said, not unless they ask, I'm not going everywhere. But I went in for her, and she got all the credit. Everybody would sit around her, and I'd say, Kim, I'm here because of Kim. And a lot of them had seen the video and stuff that Fox 2 had done. So then you walk in, and just to see somebody smile when they're sitting in a chair with getting the chemo infusion, it just, that's the part that's priceless every time. Every week, somebody smiles that just, I'll never forget.
That's
it's just
amazing.
so wonderful.
So I'm sure you're doing it for the money, right?
Yeah, that's what I told my cousin. I said, I finally find a job I'm good at, but I have to pay to do it. That's
so tell me a little bit about that. How does it work? So how many days a week do you do this, right?
Wednesday afternoon at Beaumont, because it ends up usually 50 drinks over there.
Wow.
And Thursday morning, because that's when Father always had the set time, 10 o'clock Thursday, and that's usually 25 or 26 drink. But that's when the Fox 2, a year ago, July, interviewed me. He says, I showed him I had a list. He goes, you take the orders. I goes, well, how else would I know what to bring? You know, so he was a little cynical himself, you know. And then the one lady, the next month was a free press. Well, these people would meet me at Starbucks. I didn't know they were coming, because I tell people I call in sick if I knew they were coming. Because I kept saying, it's not about me.
Right.
But she was waiting for me. She says, well, why do you go to Starbucks? That's expensive. I says, well, who wants gas station coffee? You know, plus when you mention that to them, they oh, okay. You know, and I said, whatever you want, you know, like this. And it is just so fun to walk in, and the nurse made me a sweatshirt that says Dan's Coffee Run. And I always wear the shorts, even last week, which got a little drafty. Because that just, you walk up to somebody who's sitting in the big blue chairs, and they're all the same kind of chair, and they look at you and they see the shorts, and now they're in another world. They're thinking, who is this guy? Is he crazy? So my joke is, they see me for the first time, they go, please don't let him be the doctor. That's the first thing. Then I'll say, would you like something to drink? Free coffee day. And I'll pick a nurse that's around us. I go, she's buying. What do you want? And they go, they always say the same thing at first when they go, I'm fine. And I go, you're fine, you're nice, everybody loves you. Now, would you like something to drink? That's my standard routine. And that starts this first smile. And then usually takes a little bit, and the nurse comes over and they order something, or he won't go away, like this. So we work it that way. And it just builds from one person to the next, and then somebody will say, I saw you on TV. You're famous. I go, that's not about me. You know, it's about people that are working here and about the patients. Just to distract them, give them a treat, get them out of that mindset for a while, and then to show respect to the nurses and the doctors. That's what they do all day, every day. I'm only there a couple times a week. They're there all day trying to. It's all good, and these people have become my friends. A lot of them. It's just wonderful. So I usually come with a prop, and my latest thing is I'll have a thing with me, and they go, no, I'm fine. And I go, all right, now wait a minute. Now I do a 3D version. I go, ooh, like this, and it makes them smile every time. I don't know. It's simple, as silly as that is. It makes them smile. But I'm just naturally goofy. I got in trouble in Lake Orion High School forever. I mean, when you spend that much time in the principal's office, you're going to get good grades because you have time to do your homework. That's what I tell people. But when I go in there, it's fun to be silly, and they all like it.
Absolutely.
You know, that's it.
Well, two things struck me about your video. One, I knew a little bit about your story, and I knew you were a runner and pretty avid because I just saw you recently running through the snow. I didn't know you took orders, which I was pretty impressed. I thought the same thing. Oh, I thought you showed up with the tub and you poured it, but no. I mean, it takes quite a bit of skill to balance you.
It does, yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to that really struck me was the respect that the staff and the doctors have for you, which is really incredible. I think the line, they said he is a caregiver here as much as we are, which is really a testament to what you do.
It just thinking about it gives me goosebumps, because those people in there, they're all the best, you know, and I don't have any problem going in there. You know, if it was an ice storm or if I had a flat tire, I'd park the car and run down there. You know, because a lot of times they'll say that, well, did you run here? And they forget that I'm a senior citizen, you know, and they would say, well, what are you running this week? Another marathon? I go, well, maybe, but not maybe this week, you know. But every time I run a marathon, I'd bring the medal in, and again, they'd all, you know, hold on to it and look at it and stuff, so it was
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your running, because that's another interesting thing. If people live in Orion, I'm sure they've seen you.
Yeah.
They've lived here for any given amount of time. So you're a runner. Tell me, how many marathons have you run?
68.
Come on.
Honest, you keep track, believe me.
That's a lot of miles.
That's
like
a
for
lot,
me,
yeah.
if I want to go that far, I just get in my car and drive.
Yeah, it's too far. Everybody who does it decided it's still too far. My good friend calls it the first 20 is one race and the last 6 is another race. And then like last year in Detroit, all these people take off like the herd, and I'm just, you know, plodding along my normal. I get to Belle Isle and we still got 4 miles to go, and here's all these people walking. And here's the old guy in the gray hair going by him. That can't be pleasant when you're young. But there's nothing left. They've used it up. Now they got to walk to the end if they can.
Right.
You know, and it's just such a wonderful experience. The best one was probably the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. 2 years ago. Every water stop, there were 10 Marines in camouflage giving you water, encouraging you. And at the very end, there was a Marine standing there, and he goes, "Congratulations, sir," and he hands you the medal. And you just stand there and you go, "Thank you." You know, one of these. Plus, you went through all the monuments. I'd recommend that one to anybody. That was just a wonderful one. But they're all good. You know, they're just a full, rich experience, and when you get done, you get a medal. And one of the nurses at Beaumont wants me to coach her now. Her first marathon, her husband talked her into it in May. So every week she expects a tip. So every week I have to go in there with another tip to give her, like I'm an expert at this. All you do is show up and try to make it.
Listen, you're an expert. You can't downplay you're an expert. You ran 68 marathons, for crying out loud.
And most of them in the last 10 years.
If you're not an expert, I don't know who is. So
but it's just really, it's not as much fun when you're towards the end, but right now you think back and it's fun that you got there. And every time you still, I mean, like Detroit, the guy will say, towards the end, one of the people on the side will go, "You've done this before." You know, like this, "Yeah, a few times." Then they'll say, "How many times?" And I tell them, they go, "Whoa," you know, like this. That works. That gives you the thing to keep going.
Well, it's on my bucket list, but it's down a little ways. So
you might want to keep it down a little
I'm going to check in with you, you know, give me a couple years here. I might be looking for some training tips.
See, that's the gray hair. There's no hurry. This is, you know,
By the way, I heard today someone calls you the Silver Fox because you run down Silver Bell Road.
I get a lot of them, but that's a good one. I don't mind that one.
So, all right. So I wanted to touch on your running a little bit, but I think I want to take the last couple of minutes and really focus on your mission, which is this coffee delivery service you have for chemo patients. So I want to give you an opportunity to maybe share one story or something that's been most impactful in that in your journey.
Well, it really much every week there's one story. There's a smile I will get in the course of each time I go in that is unforgettable, because the person really never thought they were going to smile. That's what I think. They're sitting there and they're going, "If I can get through this," and all of a sudden they're smiling, and it's just the purest, deepest look. And they go from what I call, it's like a little meter. They're down here and they're solemn and quiet, and they're going to deal with it. And here's this guy in shorts that wants to buy him a coffee. "Please go away, I got enough problems." So then you work on them. Pretty soon the meter's getting better. And by the time you bring it to them and they taste it, they go, "Wow, that's good." Now the meter's over here and they're smiling.
Right.
And every week there's somebody that just gives me a smile that I will never forget. And somebody will say, I just missed you or whatever, and I'll say, "Well, let me know what time and I'll come at your time." You know, it's stuff like that.
Well, that's cool. I'm a big fan. One of my favorite movies of all time is Pay It Forward. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so I had my first little chance to write a little letter to the community. That was my challenge for the winners, to watch Pay It Forward and to really do, follow that young boy in that movie, what he did. And we have our own little version of Pay It Forward right here in Orion, so we don't need to watch that movie. But I would challenge you, if you haven't seen that movie, that's a great family movie.
It's just, it worked. They convinced me in the beginning to keep getting interviewed because it makes other people think about volunteering. And that was the lesson I got, was that, okay, I'll keep doing this. And this is now, honestly, the 18th time I've been interviewed in the last year and a half. And I don't mind at all because they've convinced me how that will make others think about it. And when the time comes, you can do something like I did. I wouldn't have planned it, but there was my father, and both my parents were volunteers forever doing stuff,
Right.
So it's a genetic thing, I guess. It was natural for me to do it, and I'd look forward to it, but I walk in, like at Beaumont, when I walk in there, it's always crazy. And when I walk in the door, it's like cheers. They go, Dan! And it's just this loud, for a few seconds, they're in another better place than trying to deal with it all. And and one guy sits in the back, he's there every Wednesday afternoon. He sits in the back, David is his name, and he'll look at me from the back and not say a word, and he'll just nod his head. And I know what he wants, so I nod back. And the people that have seen that just go crazy. They go, how did you do that? I go, it works, we got a system, like
Well,
this.
what does he drink then?
Oh, caramel frappuccino.
See?
Extra caramel.
Extra caramel.
And he sees me, for sure. And last week there was a woman, maybe it was like 16 chairs lined up. And I got to the very end, she looked at me and she was testing me. And I go, chai. And the people around her, that's impressive. I says, I don't know where that comes from. I thought I had Alzheimer's. I says, I don't know how this comes from, but it's fun. So I just use this attitude just like this. First of all, like last week it was 10 degrees and I had shorts on. So that really worked. And when I went into St. Joe's, because I know them the best, it was 15 degrees and I wore a scarf. Still had shorts, but I had a scarf on. And that just cracked the place. That took them right out of the door.
That's amazing.
But they're just so wonderful people. It's easy to be respectful of them and to just go in there. And when I do have to wear pants, and they make fun of me. So they make fun of me in shorts, they make fun of me in pants. So they win-win, and I'm just glad to be there.
And I got to say, I'm a little disappointed because although you at home can't see this, he is wearing pants today. So,
yeah.
But I just want to say a couple things in wrapping. You are a very humble, great person for our community. I know it's not about you, but I want to be one that says it. You are on the front page of Reddit, which is a big deal. You're on the news, and even before we started this segment, we were going to watch the movie, and you said, "No, I don't watch it.
No,
I'm not doing it for me," which is just amazing tribute. So
I can't watch any of it, and so that when I walk in, it's the guy that lives on Judah Road and Little Dirt Road, very quiet. I drive to the hospital and walk in, and it's one-on-one. The rest of it, I have no idea what happened or that stuff. But if it works for other people, that's fine. And like the people will say, "You're famous, I saw you on TV." And the doctor goes, "I need your autograph." And you're going, it all works. If they keep going with that. And what's fun is like when I make a list, and I have 20 drinks on the list, very few are regular coffee, which means my thing is working. Because now they've expanded their thing. What else can I get?
Right.
Things I have no clue what they are. Not a drop.
Right. Well, have you? And did I hear right that you talked to Howard Schultz, or you may have known?
Better than that. He's the guy that created the Starbucks, and my joke forever was I just want to meet him, shake his hand, thank him for bringing coffee back into the world, because it got a little lean there for a while.
He should shake your hand for all the business you've given him. But
and one of the accountants in the floor below him, she said, called me 2 weeks ago, and said, "We want to do something for you." And I go, "What do you mean?" "We want to raise some money for you." And I go, "Okay, what do you need?" I go, I'm fine. I says, I got a few challenges, obviously, but I'm fine. And I says, Lisa was her name. I says, "Whatever you want to do." And it was so cool because she says, we're doing a bake sale. Now here's his headquarters of this modern day big time business, and they're doing a bake sale. I mean, it's like Norman Rockwell. It was just, the whole thought was better than if I'd have suggested something. And so last week they FedExed a check to the Square Lake Woodward place in the Starbucks, and I went in there and they had it, and they had to take my picture with the 8 cent, because whatever they put, he put more in. So I have a check with his name on it.
Wow.
Which I had to cash, obviously. I couldn't hang on to that. But that was pretty nice because it wasn't a company check, it was his private thing.
Wow.
So that was a wow. That was like as big as it gets right there. So, I can still wait to meet him someday, that's fine. But that counts pretty good, and that shows you, what he believes in. They kept their health care during the recession. And it was a great story with that. I mean, he wouldn't cut anything because that was all important to maintain. He's just that, obviously he's that solid a person, and maybe someday I will shake his hand.
Well, that's great. Well, I would just say that he needs to meet you, not vice versa, because you're one incredible person. And I want to thank you for taking some time out to come down and tell us a little bit about your story. And I think if you check on the screen, you'll be able to see where we can keep up with what you're doing, and maybe if somebody wants to get involved. But anyway, thank you for coming out. It's great to meet you. And what a challenge it is for those of you in the community to look what Dan did. And so please jump in. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for checking us out. We hope to bring exciting updates on a monthly basis through this show. And have a great week until next time.
Thank you.